Welcome back, Bridgewater College Teacher Education Program students, to another screencast about learning to use the SmartBoard in your classroom. In this screencast, we're going to learn a little bit more about the graphics gallery. We'll learn how the graphics gallery is loaded with good graphics for us to use in teaching our students. We're going to learn something about cloning, and also we'll learn a lot about various pens that are available to you besides those 4 pens that are sitting in the pen tray at the front of your SmartBoard. To begin with, I'm going to go to a new page, and remember how to do that. I can go up to Insert and just say Blank Page if I want. That's one of many ways to get to a new page. And in my first activity today, I want to make a making change type activity for my students. That is, I want to have the coins on the screen, the penny, the nickel, the dime, the quarter, and so forth. And I want to ask students to make change when they pay for an item with a certain bill. And I'm also going to have them come up to the SmartBoard and actually drag the coins to a hand, as if there's a hand waiting to receive the coins from that purchase. So let's begin with a text box that simply says cost of item. And I'm going to just underline here so that I can take my pen and fill that in from student to student and change that amount. And underneath it, I'm going to say paid with. So a student might have a 76-cent item that's paid with a $1 bill, and so forth. And the idea is we want them to generate the change. So let's add some graphics. Now, you know that this icon right here is for your graphics gallery, and when I click on it, it will turn out there are thousands of graphics for us to use. So I'm going to look for a money graphic. When I search for money, it turns out that there's 105 pictures of money. So no surprise, I'm going to be able to find the penny, the nickel, the dime, and the quarter here. It may surprise you, though, that the first coins you run into are Canadian coins. Actually, that won't be as surprising to you if you know that SmartBoards are actually made in Canada. So that it's no surprise that Canadian currency shows up before U.S. currency. And now I'm down to the U.S. currency part. So I want a penny on my SmartBoard page. So let's put a penny here. I want a nickel. I can either do heads or tails. It doesn't matter. I'll just pick the heads. I want a dime. Let's pick the dime. And I want a quarter. So I'll pick this quarter. So I've got the 4 coins here. At this point, I'm not going to put the dollar bill or the 50-cent piece and so forth. I'm going to give my students items that they can make change for with using $1 at most. Let's also look for a hand to put down here so that they can actually drag these coins onto the hand as if they're making change. So we'll go back up to our search. We'll change the word money to the word hand, and we'll do a search, and sure enough, there's pictures of hands. And I want a hand, maybe this one, where the hand is reaching out, waiting for us to put coins in it. We remember how to make our graphic larger. We grab the bottom right hand circle and pull it until now we've got a hand ready to accept change. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the students drag the coins onto the hand. But the issue right now is if I drag this penny onto the hand, there's no more pennies. Oh, and did you notice that? The hand covers up the penny instead of the penny covering up the hand. So let's learn to deal with this. First, let's put this hand on the background instead of on the foreground here. So I'll click on the hand. I'll go up to the drop-down menu, and I'm going to say Order Send to Back. And that's going to put the hand as a background image, and now the penny goes on top of the hand, which is what I wanted. Another thing that we need to do, though, is to enable us to have multiple pennies, multiple dimes, and so forth. And to do that, we're going to use a really cool feature called Infinite Cloner. I'm going to click on this icon, go up to the drop-down menu, and choose Infinite Cloner. And what that means is that when I drag one penny, the original is still in its place, and I can drag multiple pennies and so forth. If I drag one that I don't want, I can always just click on it and click on the X or hit the delete key with my finger and it goes away. So I need to do that for the nickel, the dime, and the quarter. So I'll make each of these infinite cloner. I'll make this dime infinite cloner, and I'll make the quarter infinite cloner. So at this point, we're ready now to use this activity with our class. We might say to our students, picking up the pen out of the pen tray, the item cost, and I'm using a red pen here, maybe the item cost 32 cents. So 32 cents. And we pay for it with a $1 bill. So I'll put $1 bill here. And so I want my students now to come up and make change. So I would expect them to, and notice that I just got through using the pen tool, so I need to get the arrow tool for this to work right. So with the arrow tool selected, now we can make change. We can say 33, 34, 35 cents, 40, 50, 75, and $1. And now we've made change. Now how do we go on to the next problem? Well, first of all, we would need to somehow put the coins back. But since these coins were created from the infinite cloner, I don't need to put them back on the stack. I just need to delete them all. How about if I take my arrow and click on each of these items, and you can hold the shift key down to get more than one at a time if you want, and then just hit the delete key, and I can delete and delete and delete as I wish here. Now actually what I might want to do is to clone this entire page so that I don't have to clear this out for every student. In fact, remember, in order for me to clear out the writing here, I'll need to grab the eraser and erase that text. So what I probably would want to do to use this with my class is to do all the erasing and then clone the page. So I would have multiple pages looking like this. And we've done this before, but just to remind you, go to your page display tool, come to the drop down menu and say clone page. And now you've got two of these all set up, ready to go. Both of them have the infinite cloner in place, both of them ready to use with your students. So we've learned a little bit about graphics, where we found these in the gallery. And we've also learned something about moving graphics to the background when we need it and using the infinite cloner. Let's go on to a different activity. Every elementary school math teacher has a hundredths chart somewhere on their board. Let's find a hundredths chart and use it on a new page here. Well, first I need to get to my new page. And so what I could do is just come down to the third page and then add a new page from there, or click on the right arrow right here and that will open up a blank page for me. Okay, let's go to our graphics gallery. Let's do a search for the word hundred or hundreds and see what we find. Sure enough, here are some pictures. Here are some interactive media, but I want the one that says notebook files and pages because I want the hundreds chart already built in for me right here. So when I drag it onto my screen, now I've got a hundreds chart pre-made. I don't have to create this. We're also going to learn today to use different pens. To access other pens, here's the pen item on our toolbar we're going to click on. We've been using just a standard pen out of the pen tray, but it turns out there are a lot of other pens we could use. If I, for example, pick the highlighter, I might ask my students to highlight all the numbers that are divisible by 9. So they would highlight the 9. I'm just holding my mouse down, or my finger would work fine on the SmartBoard itself. And of course what I would notice is that the ones that are divisible by 9 are on this diagonal. And I don't want to forget 90 and 99 over here as well. So those are all the ones that are divisible by 9. And no surprise, if I want to change the color of my highlighter, I can just go up here and click on a different color. Maybe this time I would say highlight all those that are divisible by 5. So they would highlight the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so forth. So we have a highlighter pen. And the advantage of the highlighter pen is that you can obviously see through the highlighter just as you can on your notebook paper highlighters. Now, in addition to the highlighter pen, there's a creative pen, and we're going to see several reasons why we'd want to use the creative pen. But as I'm finishing up here highlighting all the ones that are divisible by 5, let me switch to one of those creative pens. And on the creative pen, I've got an option to pick some of the different colored creative pens. Let me just pick this one here that appears to be multicolored. What if I said to highlight all the numbers that are divisible by 2? This time all I have to do is to drag, and it highlights and covers up all these even numbers here, and all the even numbers there, and all the even ones here, and so forth. So the creative pen allows you to simply click and drag, and you can make all kinds of shapes. And I'll just show you some of the other creative pens that are here. For example, if you click here, you get stars, and we're going to see another example of the stars or smiley faces coming up with the next example. Here's another creative pen that you can use, and multiple others. The neat thing about notebook software is that it's full of tools which we as teachers are going to find good use for. And we've already seen then with the hundreds chart many things that we could do using the creative pens. Let's try another activity. Let's go to a new page, and I'm going to find a map of the United States and put it in here. So let's go to US map. Let's search for US map, and let's see, I'm going to look in the, if I look in the pictures, it turns out that the pictures just have the individual states, and I don't want the individual states, I want the entire US. Well, it turns out that's one of the pages already built in. Right here it is, so I'll drag it in. Now, I have the creative pen tool highlighted, and I want to show you one of the neat features of the creative pen. What if I said to my students, come up and tap where you had your favorite vacation, and I'm going to first grab the smiley face tool. So when the first student comes up to the SmartBoard, all he or she has to do is to tap. Maybe they went to Orlando, so they'll just tap and a smiley face shows up. Maybe the next student went to San Francisco, so they'll tap. Another student went to Myrtle Beach, and so they'll tap. And again, all I'm doing to generate these smiley faces is just by tapping. Maybe a student went to Arcadia National Park in Maine and had a good time there. Another student maybe went to Texas, and so we can click down here, or Alaska, or Hawaii, and so forth. So all I'm doing to generate those is simply clicking. And the cool thing about the creative pen is it's built right in, and all I had to do was to click using the mouse, or actually on the actual SmartBoard, all the student has to do is come up and tap, and it's done. Okay, well, today we've seen several good examples of using graphics and the creative pens with the SmartBoard. You're going to see some more uses of the creative pen in future screencasts. Hope this has been useful for you.